Welcome to the lecture series in computer science. We are seeing a series of lectures in the subject Agile methodologies. We will be seeing a topic on Agile in product development and Agile metrics. As contents of the session are, we will be seeing about the Agile product development team, team's responsiveness, and the features of Agile product development, the Agile metrics, and we will be seeing about the financial metrics in the feature driven development and the production metrics in feature driven development. My dear viewers, in one of the earlier lectures we have already seen a full lecture episode about the feature driven development. So in this lecture we will be seeing only the financial metrics in the feature driven development and the production metrics in the feature driven development. So as we go, we will be seeing about the Agile product development team's responsiveness. The product development teams almost always face unpredictable scenarios, and it does not bode well if one or two of the scenarios hit them when they are already halfway through a sequential product development process. Such team members scrap all the earlier work put into the earlier phases of the cycle and start all over again. Ignore the implications of the scenarios and push through with the product development, while hoping that the product will still sell once it is released in the market. In Agile, however, the teams can respond immediately once these unpredictable scenarios come up, and they can adapt accordingly. So now let us see the Agile methodology in product development. My dear viewers, as you might be knowing, working with Agile methodology, if you want to have a Agile team, you need to have a high level of interaction among the team members, and each and every individual present in the team should be dynamic, should be swift, should be fast, and should be energetic. So for this, you need to have the team members should be collaborative and should be highly interactive, and they should not have rigid rules unlike you had in the traditional software development. As far as the traditional life cycle model and the traditional software development is concerned, we would have seen that in a subject called software engineering. So here in Agile software development, it is all about collaboration, it is all about interaction, it is all about team gelling. So collaboration and interaction over rigid rules and lines of authority. Agile software development prioritizes the individuals within the software development team and their interaction, putting them above the tools and processes that they actually use in the process. Collaboration is given more emphasis as members of the product development team put their heads together to solve problems. And that is the reason, my dear viewers, in almost in all my sessions I used to say, when it is a success with respect to Agile software development model, it is a team success. If it is a failure, the individual takes the responsibility, but again it's a team's failure. So as a team, when you work, when you integrate, when you have a gelled team, when you collaborate, when you interact well, then success is yours. So as the word goes, collaboration is given more emphasis as the product development team puts their heads together to solve the problems. Now, while it is true that there may be specific processes or operating procedures in place, they take a back seat when there is a problem that needs immediate solving. And that is where you prioritize things, you prioritize requirements, you take the content from the parking lot, you take the content from the sprint backlog as far as working with sprint, as far as working with Scrum framework is concerned, in the Scrum framework, you have two backlogs. One is called as a sprint backlog, other one is the parking lot. So, if it is not so immediately required, we move that requirement to the parking lot. So, we take up whatever is so required, and that is how we prioritize the requirements, and that is how we give attention to solve the immediate issues. That is when there is a problem that needs immediate solving. Personnel or people empowerment is also prioritized. See, all 5 fingers may not be of equal length. All members in a team may not have the equal IQ or EQ level, but even when you take these 5 fingers, when you close it like this, everything comes to a single point. So, everything becomes equal. So, people, they might be having different mindsets, but when they are working in an agile project, they have to gel themselves, they have to be committed, they have to be involved in the team. So, that is the reason we say people and personnel empowerment is also prioritized. They can choose to form their own teams or subgroupings, making sure that the best talents are present for their task at hand. The members of the team will also feel more motivated when they feel that they are working with other people in the team instead of for a person or authority. Involvement of customers and other stakeholders in the development process. My dear viewers, who is a stakeholder? So, anyone and everyone whoever is involved in the outcome of the project is called as a stakeholder. So, in this scenario, this is a reinforcement of the characteristic of agile being iterative and having each aspect revisited throughout the development life cycle. In agile product development, collaboration is not limited among the members of the product development team alone. Other stakeholders, particularly the customer or usually the customer representatives, are also involved. My dear viewers, you might be knowing the difference between a customer and a customer representative. There might be 1 or 2 customers for a particular software product, but he might employ many different people and they will be part of the development team. Such people employed by the customer are called as the customer representative. So, that is the reason I said other stakeholders, particularly the customers or the customer representatives, are also involved in the activity. This is in full recognition of the reality that there are requirements and information that may not be available at the beginning of the cycle, but will become eventually available in the middle. Requirements may not be known at the initial stage, but as days goes on, as the project progresses, the requirements you will be getting more and more clarity when you work on. You will get more insights when you work on. It is also an acknowledgement of the possible occurrence of the unpredictable scenarios that were discussed earlier. By involving customers or the customer representatives and other stakeholders of the agile project, the agile team will be able to verify and validate along the way so that they can make the necessary adjustments if any. Next is the prototypes. The prototypes are given more importance than creating the rigid comprehensive documentation. Documentation is all well and good because they contain the details, but as far as the agile project development is concerned, we do only the necessary documentation. We do not make the documentation part clumsy. We write documentation of whatever is required, whatever is needed. We do not focus or give more importance to documentation, but we give more importance to creating the prototypes. However, as comprehensive as the documentation may be, they are given less importance because Agile software development by itself prioritizes coming up with working prototypes. My dear viewers, in your subject called software engineering, you would have studied about the prototyping model, evolutionary prototype and throwaway prototypes. Here we build mostly based on the evolutionary type because we need to have a working model, the working prototypes, smaller deliveries. When you work with the Scrum framework, you deliver the minimum marketable feature, which means the feature which is being developed, it should be marketable, it should have a limited set of functionalities. When you work with the extreme programming, you need to give small releases, and it is all possible only through this working prototype. Now, in software development, for example, the clients appreciate the presentation of documents discussing at great length the features of the software currently under development. However, the clients will be more appreciative if one can present them with a working software, because that is the reason we go in for this Agile software development. In XP, we have small releases. In Scrum, we have minimum marketable features. In FDD, feature driven development, we have small features. So similarly, the same applies in product development too. Prototypes have more substance than piles and piles of documentation, because we do not deny, as far as Agile development is concerned, they do not deny that there is no documentation. They do agree that documentation is mandatory, but when you could have a working document, when you can have a working model, it speaks more than the documentation. So that is the reason the prototype, it has more substance than the documentation, because they are more representative of whether the proposed product actually works or not. Next Agile method in product development is the ability to respond to change. Teams that adhere to the Agile methodology are more inclined to veer away from standard operating procedures in order to respond accordingly to the development issues, especially the unexpected ones. This makes them more flexible instead of being boxed up in by specific and rigid rules. Because when you could take up a person who had already had an experience in working with traditional development projects, now when you bring him to work with the Agile development projects, he will be in fact more and more happy. Why? Because in traditional development, he would have followed all sort of rigid rules. He would have followed only principles. Wherein here it is all people focused, people centric. Wherein here it does not mean that you don't follow any principles. You do, but it is more and more flexible when compared to the traditional development lifecycle model. So now let us see some of the features in this Agile product development. You have an organized team structure. You are supposed to create backlogs, supposed to have or establish iterations, supposed to conduct risk mitigation, supposed to have continuous and rigorous testing, supposed to secure customer input and feedback. Because we as a developer, supposing if you have been considered as a developer, you work only to satisfy the customer needs. If you want to satisfy the customer needs, first of all you are supposed to satisfy the customer needs, then you are supposed to delight the customer. Delighting is more than satisfaction. So when you want to satisfy the customer, you are supposed to get the inputs, the correct inputs from the customer, and you are supposed to work it out, and you are supposed to deliver to the customer whatever he expects, whatever he desires, and you are supposed to get the feedback from the customer. So getting the customer input, delivering the product and getting the feedback, and when he is going to say it is okay, fine, then you move ahead with the next set of requirements. Now let us see the next topic, Agile metrics. As far as the Agile metrics is concerned, you have the PV. What is a PV? It is planned value, the value of work planned to be accomplished based on the budget, either if you are going to work with India, either in terms of INR, or if you are going to work with the global project, usually it will be calculated in terms of dollars, US dollars, USD, or in terms of hours too. That is said to be a planned value, the value of work that has been planned to be carried on. Now next is you have EV. What is EV? EV denotes earned value. As far as the earned value is concerned, the integrated value of work actually accomplished based on the budget, again in terms of USD, again in terms of dollars, or in terms of hours. So in this scenario, here it is the work that has been actually carried out, whereas in terms of planned value, it is the work that is planned for execution, whereas here which is actually accomplished. Now next is AC. What is AC? AC denotes actual cost, the cost incurred for the increment of the work that has been carried out. Next is BSC, budget at complete, the budget assigned to complete the specified work. What is the budget? Anything when you are going to work upon, you are supposed to have a budget, you are supposed to have a thought process, a foresight before you start working. This might take this much of cost involved, and before the client gives, the client will be giving you amount one and only if you could show him certain features, if you could show him certain small releases, or else he will not give. So the budget at complete denotes the budget assigned to complete the work. Next is the estimate to complete, which is nothing but ETC. ETC denotes the forecast amount to complete the remaining work in terms of US dollars or hours based on the past performance. If it is our local project, it will be in terms of INR, Indian rupees. Next is the estimate at complete, which is EAC, the forecast total amount for all the work in the project plan. It is based on the past performance, it is based on the previous past performance. So my dear viewers, kindly have a note of all these metrics. One is the planned value, second is earned value, third is actual cost, fourth is budget at complete, fifth is estimate to complete, sixth is estimate at complete. Now let us see the formulae for all these metrics, and let us have a metric analysis. As far as the first metric, that is the reason I asked you to note down all the metrics in my earlier slide, which was posted in the earlier slide. As far as the metrics is concerned, you have a planned value. As far as the planned value is concerned, it is, the formula is BAC multiplied by planned percent complete. My dear viewers, what is BAC? In my previous slide, BAC denotes budget at complete. So here, as far as the planned value is concerned, it is budget at complete multiplied by planned percent complete. So let us see the metric analysis. Metric analysis states the planned value indicates how much value was planned for one particular point in time. Now, the second metric is about the earned value. Again, it is about the budget at complete multiplied by actual percentage, whereas in the previous case it was a planned percentage, whereas here since it is an earned value, it is budget at complete multiplied by actual percent complete. What is the metric analysis? How it has been analyzed? The earned value indicates how much value has actually been generated at a particular milestone or point in time. Now, the third metric is cost performance index, which is in short called as CPI. You calculate the CPI based on a formula called as earned value by the actual cost. Earned value in short is denoted as EV, actual cost in short is denoted as AC. So, EV by AC. So, the metric analysis denotes, it indicates how many cents have been earned out of every dollar that is being spent. It measures the cost efficiencies. Say for example, my dear viewers, you own a shop, you are going to give it for rent. Supposing if you quote the rent as 50,000, and supposing if the client or the person who wants to be a hiree, if he agrees for the rent of 50,000, then he should be in a position to earn 5 lakhs. Then only he can fetch you 50,000 per month. So, similarly, how much of cents that has been earned out of every dollar that has been spent? This is a metric analysis. Then next is the schedule performance index, it is nothing but SPI in short. It is, the formula is planned value divided by actual cost, PV by AC. It measures the schedule efficiency, indicates how fast the rate of progress has been planned. Then next is the ETC, estimated time to complete. So, it is BAC minus EV divided by CPI. What is CPI? CPI denotes cost performance index, CPI in short. So, BAC minus EV divided by CPI. What is the metric analysis? It forecasts the amount to complete the remaining work. Then next is EAC, estimate at complete. So, here the formula is budget at complete, BAC divided by cost performance index, CPI, or it can be the summation of actual cost and the estimated time to complete, AC plus ETC. So, it forecasts the cost for a total planned work. Now, let us see the data points to calculate the initial baseline. Number of planned sprints in the release backlog, the length of each sprint in calendar days, number of story points planned for the release backlog, the budget plan for the release backlog, the start date of the project. Now, let us see the Agile metrics. It is budget at complete, planned amount you expect to spend, actual cost is the actual cost to complete the work, PRSP denotes planned release story points. For the release, story points are defined at the product backlog level, EPC denotes expected % complete, current sprint divided by total planned sprint. Actual % complete, APC denotes story points completed divided by total planned story points. Planned value, PV, specifies the budgeted complete plus into multiplied by EPC, expected % complete. Earned value is calculated with budgeted complete multiplied by APC, actual % complete. Cost performance index is measured by EV by AC. Schedule performance index is being calculated by EV by PV. Now, in Agile metrics, the quality is an important metric for agile teams, and there are a number of traditional metrics that can be applied to agile development. It specifies how many defects are found during development after release to customers by people outside of the team, how many defects are deferred to a future release, how many customers support requests are coming in, what is the percentage of automated test coverage. Now let us see the financial metrics in feature driven development. It is about the inventory in the feature driven development, which speaks about the features. Investment in feature driven development speaks about the cost of acquiring the ideas. Operating expenses in feature driven development speaks about the operating expenses in creating the features. Throughput in feature driven development explains the value of the delivered feature. Value added in feature driven development explains about the net profit. Returns on investment in FDD speaks about the ROI. Accounting for change speaks about the priorities. Accounting for rework speaks about the bugs that has been fixed in the features that has been developed. Avoid double counting determines the mistakes when accounting for investment. For example, it denotes from modeling and feature analysis and the operating expenses. As far as the production metrics in feature driven development is concerned, it is estimating operating expenses. Once the scope of a given project or system release is agreed, the engineering group can proceed to estimate the level of effort required to design, build and test the scope functionality. Features are evaluated against a complexity metric, and the complexity is translated into the LOE for each feature. Exponents of FDD claim that it is repeatable. Repeatable in this instance means that it is transferable across teams who can repeat the process and estimate project based on the relatively low variance associated with features and related analysis techniques in FDD. Now let us summarize this session. We saw about agile product development teams responsiveness. We saw about the features of agile product development. We saw about the agile metrics. We saw about the financial metrics in the feature driven development. We saw about the production metrics in the feature driven development. Thank you.